It's certainly not just happiness. It's better than happiness, but it's almost unbearable.
You can't force me to respect you. It's just not possible.
Hello, dear followers of the Charismatic Mind Network. In today's video, our group will be analyzing Jordan Peterson's behavior and personality. We will learn some valuable lessons together on how to improve our own personalities and social skills in our social relationships. We often assume that being aggressive is the only way to gain respect. Unfortunately, bullies are often the ones who receive the most respect, whether in the schoolyard or workplace. However, Jordan Peterson is an example of generating respect through a different approach. In this video, we will explore 3 main things he does that compel people to respect him.
You can't force me to respect you. It's just not possible.
All right, maybe not force, but definitely increase the likelihood of gaining respect from people. Let's take a closer look. Dr. Peterson's first technique is called pacing your reality. Even if he disagrees with your beliefs, he makes an effort to empathize with your perspective. For example, Jordan Peterson is a religious person, but he still speaks about atheism with respect and understanding.
There's a good case to be made for atheism. I mean, let's make no bones about it. Because you could say in some sense there's been 300, 400 years of brilliant scientists who've been doing nothing but laying the foundation for an objective, empirical atheism.
Jordan grants that the side that he does not agree with has really strong points in his favor. And this might sound counterproductive if you're trying to persuade someone, but it actually makes people more open to changing their mind. Because in any discussion, the absolute hardest thing to do is to admit that you might be wrong and risk appearing dumb. That's why sometimes saying things like, "Hey, you raise a great point," or "I totally see why you see things that way" is so important. If you find yourself in heated argument, it lets the other person not feel dumb if they wind up changing their mind. This is how Dr. Peterson can get people to open up to his views without having to push them around. You can contrast that with the standard political discussion where 2 sides basically just yell their points of view at one another. Like in this clip.
If you work hard, if you get educated, if you're an honest person, you can make it in America.
If you live in a neighborhood where poverty is endemic, it's harder to work hard. It's harder to get an education.
Hey, it was harder.
No one changes their mind from a discussion like this. So even though it might be tempting to win an argument by making incisive points that make the other person look foolish, you must recognize that it is counterproductive, as it makes them even less likely to change their behavior if you do not validate something about their position. Interestingly, Jordan incorporates mini pacings into his normal speech by mentioning what the listener might be thinking while he's speaking. You can observe this by paying attention to him.
To those who have everything, more will be given, and from those who have nothing, everything will be taken. It's really a vicious statement. But what it means is, as you go downhill faster and faster. For working with old people in old age homes, and the rule is don't do anything for the residents that they can do themselves. You think, well, that's pretty harsh. It's like, no, it isn't. You're helping them retain their independence. Then he stretches out and he'll go fight again. So antidepressants work on lobsters. Right. And you think, well, who cares? It's like, no.
Jordan has a technique of raising hypothetical questions and then answering them.
And the idea is that if you can do that, you will transcend the tragedy. And it's like, well, could that be true? Well, most people admire tough, competent people. So you know it's at least a little bit true.
What's especially fascinating is that once Dr. Peterson has completely reversed your initial position, he's extra careful to not make you feel stupid about it. The other person needs to be able to save face. So he mentions one more time that he's not attacking. That's partly why so many people have had their minds changed by Dr. Peterson. He's not attempting to make them feel unintelligent, but rather to educate and guide them. This is in stark contrast to the own compilations on YouTube, where individuals often try to portray the opposing side in argument as foolish as possible.
Be the same. They're against Mexicans, they're against Jews, they're against black people, they're against minorities.
Where are all these Nazis?
Everywhere.
Oh, let's do a quick pan. And let's see them. No, there's one. No. Okay, so there's none here, so where are they?
It's not the same.
You're right. You're 100% right. It's not the same.
America unsafe, okay?
You don't have to cry. Yeah. I know it's hard. No, look, come here, honestly.
Hey there. I couldn't help but notice your stunning smile and this captivating scene. Have you ever experienced something like this before? It's always nice to share stories and connect with others. It can be tempting to laugh when your side gets one up on someone from the other side. But when you make people feel stupid, nobody actually changes their mind. And while it might feel like you're a winner, you're actually completely ineffective at changing behavior. So if your goal is to make the world a better place, be like Dr. Peterson. Do your best to understand people's perspectives and give them credit for doing their best to figure things out, even if you disagree. On to the second point. Jordan is constantly telling stories and sharing interesting tidbits to keep his listeners' attention, and he flows quickly between a lot of different things. These next clips are all just taken from a span of about 3 minutes.
If you're competent at fighting, that actually decreases the probability that you're going to have to fight, because when someone pushes you, you'll be able to respond with confidence, and that's partly why Jung believed that it was necessary for people to integrate their shadow. When you study Nazi Germany, for example, or you study the Soviet Union, particularly under Stalin, and you're asking yourself, well, what are these perpetrators like? Forget about the victims, let's talk about the perpetrators. The answer is, they're just like you. It's a matter of facing the thing you least want to face. And everyone has that there's this old story in King Arthur where the knights go off to look for the Holy Grail.
That's 5 different topics, all covered in just a few minutes, and you'll notice that they're all relevant to the listener. Firstly, the speaker shares an interesting fact about martial arts. Then he expands on it, placing it within a larger historical context that everyone can understand. Finally, and most importantly, he demonstrates how this information can be applied to the listener's own life. 2 main points here. First is that windy nature of his speech, which keeps people on their toes and interested. Now, you may have experienced someone who does this poorly, talking about every random thing that comes into their mind and completely losing your attention. Peterson's approach is effective because he consistently connects his ideas to the listener. He achieves this by frequently using the second-person point of view in his stories, as this helps to make his message more relatable to you, the audience.
You don't identify with either of those. You know that they're both necessary. You know that you have to live with both of them, but you identify with the capacity to continually transcend what you are.
Jordan Peterson has a unique style that sets him apart from others. He likes to use archetypes, which are basically universal ideas that resonate with people across different cultures and backgrounds. They are like fundamental human stories that we all understand and relate to. You can find these archetypes in fairy tales and popular stories, which is why Peterson often references them.
The witch in Hansel and Gretel who fattens up the kids and eats them. How many of you have seen Disney's Sleeping Beauty? It's very difficult to understand Jung outside of a narrative context. And so I'm going to walk you through The Lion King today. The woman encounters this mysterious and aggressive male and tames him. That's the female hero myth, as far as I can tell. It's Beauty and the Beast.
Using archetypal stories is not only a fun way to reference Disney movies, but it also helps to connect with people on a deep level. These stories feel intuitively true to people, and if you can relate a point that you're trying to make to an archetypal story, you are going to be more persuasive. This is how Peterson was able to take the unappealing advice of clean up your own room and make it a piece of advice that thousands of people have applied successfully. Now, for those who are not familiar with his work, clean up your room means that you should not only clean your physical space but also take responsibility for your actions before expecting others to do the same. This advice may not seem attractive at first, which is why many of us have ignored it when our mothers told us to do it. However, Peterson leads into this advice in a way that makes it more compelling.
You probably have all watched Pinocchio, and Pinocchio is about how a marionette, someone whose strings are being pulled by forces beyond his comprehension. That's the situation of the undeveloped individual. Geppetto, who's a benevolent father, so a benevolent symbol of benevolent culture, makes a puppet, his son, and then wishes on a star. Now, a star is something that glitters up in the sky, and it's associated with the transcendent.
I can't capture all of this in one clip, and that's precisely the point. If Peterson had merely advised people to focus on themselves first and tidy up their own rooms before telling others how to live, he would have been about as effective as a motivational poster. But by embedding this counsel within an archetypal story, he has made it truly resonate and has actually transformed people's lives. That's why I believe the ability to tell a good story is the most undervalued charismatic trait. I would like to address one more point, which is that Peterson doesn't have to resort to bullying tactics to earn respect. Instead, he encourages dialogue. One of his most popular clips, which put him on the map, was a heated argument. Even in that clip, he tries to calm down students who are getting into shouting matches with each other. His point was that these students need to be integrated into society. They are not seeking special treatment. We are seeking ways to integrate ourselves into society. And even if you are not willing to do so, Dr. Peterson pays close attention to the students who engage with him in a respectful manner. By doing so, he teaches us that if we want others to respect us without being domineering, we must consider their point of view. You consider their reality, and you pace it in your speech. You consider their attention span, and you wrap your points in engaging stories, and you consider that they may have something to teach you. So you speak with them rather than shout at them. Now, we focused a lot on respect in this video, but that's actually just 1 out of 4 emotions that are going to create an amazing first impression on anyone cross-culturally. Well, friends of Charismatic Mind, you enjoyed watching this video and you feel that we should do this analysis about the great psychologists and scientists of the world. Please leave a comment below this video so that we can have another interesting analysis together. Meanwhile, our analysis videos about Dr. Jordan Patterson will continue in the next episodes so that we can better understand the secrets of Dr. Patterson's success. So press the subscribe button with your beautiful fingers so that you will be notified as soon as we upload our next videos. Thank you.